Alright, using this build, we have hit rank 1 in the secret dungeon. By the end of the video, I'm going to show you how I did it. God, I'm gonna die here. 2 people on me. Bro. I appreciate the heals, but I am tanky as— look how many people are on me, bro! Their whole wall! Yo, going tank was the best thing I ever fucking did for this. No. Oh my god, that was disgusting. Look what I just did to them, bro. Look at the cleave. Don't clump. 330. I just knocked Jung off the cliff. Bro, he can't even hit me. Look at my HP. Gotcha. Yo, what is good, you guys? All right, so I'm gonna show you my PvE build to start off with. So for PvE, the skill specialization that I'm running, nothing on shield strike. Using something on counter barrier for the extra damage and cooldown reduction for shield strike though. Because I have Nirma, shield strike does count as a stun, so I usually will stun bosses out of their animations if I see a fury attack. Using Blessed Immortality just for the extra defense. Shot at Victory just for a little bit of extra damage. It's not really needed most of the time though. Honestly, you can replace that with a pool or something for general dungeons or a taunt. Flaming Arc, Javelin Inferno. Again, this is the DPS setup. If you were bossing, one thing you would want to have is aggro increased on shield strike. But because it's DPS, we don't really need it. Using Slaughtering Slash, again, for all DPS, you could pretty much take Slaughtering Slash off and then spec into the aggro skills that you want. Because Slaughtering Slash is mostly for single target damage, and in most dungeons you're going to be doing AoE. But for bossing, we're using Slaughtering Slash to explode the Ignite stacks. Unyielding Sentinel, just for an extra shield, that way we can tank mechanics or tank DPS without taking any damage. And then extra damage on Phoenix Barrage. The conditional damage is kind of hard to get off sometimes because our stun's not really that long with Nirmas. But you can Abyss Cleave into Phoenix Barrage, but typically I do like to Abyss Cleave into Slaughtering Slash. Really just depends, but it is really good to have if you want to stun into it. Alright guys. That is my PvE setup. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the PvE rotation. I'm going to show you the PvP skills and rotation after. Let me go ahead and show you my PvE gear as well. So I run the same glass cannon setup because this is just the best DPS setup that I could find. You could honestly replace Ancient Tapestry mana or Mantle with the Mana Cape. It would be better for PvE just for the mana sustain, especially for Spear. But it's not really needed. We do have really good mana regeneration with this set. So you're getting mana regen on the gloves, mana regen on the chest piece. Cooldown reduction on double cooldown reduction on the Shadow Harvester mask, and then we're getting mana regen again on the pants, and then just mostly dex and DPS stats here. Yeah, really solid setup. I would say I like the mana regen Girdle Spectral Skulls on the belt. However, Belt Bloodlust would also work with this setup, and we're using Nirmas and Shackles. I think these are more PvP weapons. Don't get me wrong; they're still really good for PvE. Nirmas, especially because of the stun, but Shackles mostly is a PvP weapon. You would likely want to replace this. Another alternative that you could use specifically for PvE would be Skull Severing, assuming you don't have one of the like Queen Bell and there or something. But Skull Severing is really good for the extra stats. But still, I do like my Shackles. So here you go. That is my PvE gear, most important stats. Let me just show you. Crit, my evasions don't matter. It's PvE, but mostly like 780 crit. It's not terrible. It's not terrible for a tank. Debuff duration, skill damage res. My heavy attack chance is what's most important. It's 354, and then I'm getting 290 skill damage boost on the spear, 240 on the shield. I think the bonus damage is also important, 32 on spear, 28 on shield. Bonus damage, skill damage boost, and heavy attack chance are probably the most important, with a bit of critical damage. 14% critical damage and 43% buff duration is pretty useful as well. Alright, so for the PvE rotation, you guys, essentially the PvE rotation is Phoenix Barrage, Abyss Cleave, Slaughtering Slash. However, you can also Abyss Cleave, Phoenix Barrage into Slaughtering Slash. The reason I like Abyss Cleave into Slaughtering is because Abyss Cleave, when spec'd correctly, actually gives you critical hit damage of the next skill used within 5 seconds. and Slaughtering Slash does most of your damage when you're doing Burning Ignite stacks. However, Abyss Cleave into Phoenix Barrage is also extremely good because of the not only do you get critical aftermath of Phoenix Barrage, and this is a good way of getting your crit up early, critical damage, so you're actually doing 30% critical damage with the Phoenix Barrage and Abyss Cleave combo, but the conditional damage actually gives you an extra 20% damage. Both of them are really good. I haven't noticed a huge difference in time between the two because the damage is comparable, but really good options. So let's say Phoenix Barrage, Abyss Cleave, Slaughtering, then you want to go Explosive Fury until the boss does a Fury animation. Then you would only Shield Strike during a Fury animation. So that is the basic combo. And then while you're waiting for your big skills to come up, like your Phoenix Barrage and your Explosive Fury, you're basically going to use Javelin Inferno while waiting for Explosive Fury and Phoenix Barrage to come back, as well as Slaughtering. So again, the main combo: Phoenix Barrage, Abyss Cleave, Slaughtering, Explosive Fury, Javelin Inferno. You typically only want to Shield Strike during a Fury attack. You want to save this for when they Fury attack. However, when you have Counter Barrier up, Shield Strike will come up faster, so that is something really good to notice as well. You'll also do more damage with Shield Strike when Counter Barrier is up. Essentially, the only time you are using Flaming Arc is, let's say, all of your skills are on cooldown and you don't have any Javelin Inferno. If you can fit it into the rotation, you can use Flaming Arc. And then the only time you're using Shot of Victory is after Flaming Arc. It's legit last priority. That's the rotation. Let me show you what it looks like, guys. Look at my attack speed. You can notice it's insanely fast after the rotation. Another good thing to note is that your Gale Rush increases attack speed, and you get max attack speed when it's spec correctly um, with the Initiative Blitz. So the way you want to Gale Rush, some bosses will move. Essentially, you want to Gale Rush to get back on them. However, you can also fit Gale Rush into your rotation as you're waiting for skills on cooldown. I don't like to initiate with Gale Rush because I want to get my big damage skills off and on cooldown as soon as possible. And another good thing to note is make sure that you are using your Unyielding Sentinel and your Counter Barrier when possible. That is my PvE setup. That is my PvE rotation, you guys. So let's go ahead and let's swap over to the PvP setup. And let's swap over to my preferred PvP gear setup. I don't know why my stats always reset. Something's wrong with the game. Amazon, please fix it. Because every time I log in, log out, my stats just reset for some reason. It's really weird. But anyway, so yeah, I like to go 50 strength, 60 perception, 30 dex. And then we are using the heavy attack bonus of Field General. And then this is my preferred melee evasion set, Immortal Reckoning, Collar Decimation, Banner Universal Power. One thing that I will try, Forbidden Sacred Chain for the extra melee evasion. My melee evasion right now is 1898, about 1900 melee evasion. I'm stacking HP on my runes where I can. Let me go ahead and just show you guys my runes. Oh. Dex, Perception, Max Health, Attack Speed, Max Health, Perception, Max Health, Perception. I'm stacking mostly Perception for PvP. Keep in mind my runes are set up for PvP. They're not really set up for PvE. Crit, Stun, Health. A little bit of ranged evasion. However, I think Max Health would be better if I had it. This hit chance is literally just a placeholder until I get something else I can put in there. And then healing received is really good on the shield. Health, skill damage, hit. The priority on runes is really it's max health. Max health and hit, and heavy attack on the weapons where you can. Heavy attack and crit, crit secondary. Hit, health, bind, heavy attack evasion, heavy attack chance, Melee critical chance, bind resistance, max mana. Range defense, however, again, I prefer HP. If I had it, weaken resistance, critical. Yeah, you guys kind of get the point. Um, Runes are a huge upgrade to this build. However, um, melee evasion is a good alternative. However, I think it's not really recommended to go over like 1900, 2000. I think you should really stack HP after that point because you gotta worry about other classes, not melee users. To be honest, the more HP you have, the more chances of surviving a double hit heavy attack Judgment Lightning. Because your biggest problem with this build is gonna be match users. So that's my gear, you guys, and then my skill build for PvP. I'm using Piercing Strike. The critical hit chance reduction is also really solid. Counter barrier, the same. I like rear chain hook, and the skill range on chain hook is extremely good for throwing users off the cliff. If you just stand near the cliff and pull someone, you can literally just knock, like literally pull them off the cliff. It kills most people in arena. It's just a huge annoyance if you're pulling healers off. Anyone that doesn't have melee vision, that's gonna be your target to pull to make it a 3v2. And then Immortal Pride, health regen, all defense. For my spear, we're using Flaming Arc, Javelin Inferno with the slow, Explosive Fury for the ignite stacks to use Javelin Inferno, Unyielding Sentinel to get the heavy attack and the range boost, the Rising Slash, Distance Slash, and explosive damage. I really do like Slaughtering Slash and PvP as well. However, typically I'm engaging groups, so it's a little harder to use Slaughtering Slash against groups. But if you're in a 1v1, Slaughtering Slash is absolutely amazing. I like Constricting Tempest because it stops users from running away from me in arenas. However, in open world, I think Tempest Strike is a bit better. And then you could swap this point likely over to Bursting Echo and Rising Slash for more AoE damage. Or if you want to use Death from Above, you could also slot that. Phoenix Barrage, we always want to attempt to bind, so you can pull, which is a bind, into Phoenix Barrage if you can. If you're not pulling someone off the cliff, so you chain and then hit them with Phoenix Barrage. Um, your Piercing Strike does also stun, but it's a little hard to Piercing Strike in a Phoenix Barrage because of the short stun on Nirmas. But yeah, those are my skills. And for my PvP rotation, you guys, it's very, very, very situational. However, ideally, what you want to do is Gale Rush in, immediately constructing Tempest into Explosive Fury, and then when they run, ideally they'd get pulled with Constructing Tempest, and you Javelin Inferno, Piercing Strike, and keep them from moving. Um, and then if they get away again, you can pull them into Phoenix Mirage. Another good combo is Rising Slash into uh, Javelin Inferno constructing Tempest, and then when they're slowed with Javelin Inferno, typically they'll try and run in a straight line, and then you can Phoenix Mirage them as well into Flaming Arc. But the typical combo is just Gale Rush in, get your stacks, you can Piercing Strike, Javelin Inferno. When they run again, you're gonna pull them, which will bind them into a Phoenix. You can Constructing Tempest after this, and follow up with Flaming Arc. The best way to catch a running opponent is Rising Slash. Additionally, typically they'll use their mobility skill after you Rising Slash. That's when you can Javelin Inferno and then Rising Slash again because you have two slashes to get to them. You're kind of baiting out their mobility skills with Rising Slash. And again, the way you full buff is with Unyielding Sentinel, Counter Barrier. You typically want to Immortal Pride only when you need to, because that 22% health bonus is huge. It gets me up to 22k HP. I will have probably close to 24k once I actually finish this build. But yeah, that is how we are running this build. Let me go ahead and show you guys the masteries that I'm using for my sword and spear. So I would go top row, bottom row, and I'd get the melee hit chance once I get my mastery up. I'm doing all this with mastery 8 because I'm only 1 week into SNS spear. 14 spear mastery. You would go ideally. You'd want to go middle row, bottom row, but I think until I have max mastery, the top row is better than bottom row because it gives me straight defense and evasion and shield pin. But ideally, if you get all the way to the end, the attack speed is more important on the bottom row. However, like I said, until you can get there, I think the top row is a bit better just because it gives you immediately like immediate benefits. Okay, those are my masteries. Those are my builds. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Thanks so much for watching. Peace and love, fam.